This is Stefan and Irina's 330 square foot studio apartment located in Manhattan, New York City. After living in Amsterdam for 2.5 years, they decided to purchase this apartment in the city where they first met to further their careers and raise their newborn baby boy, Victor. The real challenge with this space is fitting in a home office, living area, kitchen and dining area all within 330 square feet, whilst also providing a separate space for their newborn baby boy that somehow doesn't get disrupted by cooking, conversation and TV. Something that seems like an almost impossible task in a small space like this one. So of course, this was a challenge I simply couldn't resist taking on. The sketch Stefan and Irina sent in with their application allowed me to translate these dimensions into an accurate 3D model using SketchUp. When you enter the existing space, you can see that you're greeted with a large closet with timber doors in front, as well as a smaller one for shoes and coats adjacent to the entryway that's behind you. The studio apartment's bathroom is then to the right, which is currently very blue. However, this location keeps the bathroom activity as far away as possible from the main space, which is definitely preferable, and you'll notice that it has the benefit of having a skylight, as this apartment is located on the top floor, which helps to get natural light into this deepest and darkest area of the floor plan. Like many older New York City apartments, this one is long and narrow, and as you move through to the main space, there's some shelving for storage to the right, which is opposite the kitchen that has a wall partially separating it from the main space, which has a small opening in it that allows some light through. Throughout the apartment, it has some beautiful parquet flooring and one large south-facing window, which despite being the only one, it does get a lot of light as it's south-facing. However, unfortunately, this wall does have an unsightly heating and AC unit passing right through it, which is something I'll look to address when making the most out of their $15,000 budget. But before even attempting to start designing, it's crucial to understand Stefan and Irina's needs, where I learned that they work jobs in risk management and accounting and require a home workspace. They enjoy cooking and eating together, ideally with a glass of wine. They enjoy their evenings dreaming about the future, reading and watching movies, and they love natural light, minimalist interiors, and natural materials. When first tackling a project like this one, I first like to look at the kitchen, as with a small budget like theirs, this area is generally quite fixed to staying next to the home's existing plumbing and drainage connections. It's clear to see that the kitchen is severely lacking for people who enjoy cooking, so a really obvious fix is to create an island in place of the existing partition for prep work, storage and dining, which could be either slotted underneath the existing window or in place of the wall entirely, depending on the existing structure and personal preference. However, this works so well as the island would cover any patches left in the floor finish and add a ton of utility at very little cost. Additionally, because the existing fridge doesn't fit very well into the existing kitchen, 2 separate integrated fridges and freezers could be hidden within this island, freeing up even more countertop space next to the sink and making better use of this space's location by utilizing the nearby drainage connection for a dishwasher or washing machine, which is a true rarity in New York City apartments like this one and especially handy for busy parents like Stefan and Irina. The existing shelving provides plenty of storage for the apartment, but as I've said before, shelves are for displaying items, not storing them, as they are an absolute pain to keep tidy if you intend to use them for storage. So seeing as this area is somewhat underutilized, this could be easily fitted with full height cabinetry that would create a huge amount of much needed storage for a family of 3, to hide a variety of different items that aren't necessarily limited to the kitchen, which transforms the utility of this area with affordable off-the-shelf DIY products. With the kitchen area done, I still had to somehow find a way to make Victor's sleeping schedule work with day-to-day life inside of the apartment, and as a relatively new parent myself, I can definitely tell you that infants and toddlers run on completely different schedules to adults. Because of this, I had to somehow separate Victor's sleeping area from the main space, or else condemn Stefan and Irina to a life of silence. And because dividing the space closest to the window would significantly compromise the usability and natural light that reaches the kitchen, I decided that actually, despite being somewhat unconventional, the entryway may serve as the perfect nursery area, as it's not only the darkest space in the apartment, but also the quietest, as it's the area in the home that gets the least amount of traffic. By simply removing the doors to the closet, it completely opens up this space, providing enough room for a crib and some curtains, which allows the use of the main areas as usual, without having to worry so much about tiptoeing around for 16 hours of the day, as the curtains not only help to block light, but also absorb noise. Having to whisper and live life in complete silence as a parent is exhausting, especially when you inevitably make a mistake and wake your baby up. And despite sometimes wanting to sacrifice everything to provide a Pinterest perfect space for your child, happy and healthy parents make happy and healthy children, which is arguably much better for your child than feeling virtuous about your sacrifices or as some kind of parent flex on social media. The main space still poses its own set of challenges aside from the challenges of parenthood, because somehow I still have to fit in a comfortable sleeping and living area without blocking light to the kitchen on a now very limited budget. Fold-down Murphy beds are becoming really popular in spaces like this, as they simply disappear when you don't need them. However, what most people don't really realise is that they are expensive and very hard to get hold of if you want them to look good and perform well. And as they are very heavy and difficult to assemble, it's likely that you'll probably want someone with some expertise to create bespoke cabinetry for it if you want the perfect finish. And as you'll likely want to get it anchored to the wall, it isn't something that you'll easily be able to take with you should you decide to move. So in this circumstance, to save on cost, I decided to place their existing IKEA bed closest to the window and pair it with a large desk area opposite, which can be easily and affordably DIY'd out of a timber kitchen worktop, and this means that it's even large enough for 2 workstations, whilst looking far more expensive than it actually costs. Despite being less than ideal, bedrooms and offices actually go hand in hand, as they're both used at completely separate times of day, and they both usually require visual and acoustic separation from other users in the rest of the space. So to create this, I decided to introduce a slatted partition to introduce some visual interest to an otherwise very pragmatic looking space, and provide a visual boundary that simultaneously allows the light to filter through it. When paired with a combination of sheer and acoustic track curtains, this makes this area easy to manipulate when considering the view, light and noise from the kitchen and the living area. And despite not being entirely necessary, this timber wall matches a similarly styled screen disguising the heater and air conditioning unit, and together they really elevate the look and feel of this space, which is another very important consideration for a comfortable apartment. Finally, with only the remaining space between the kitchen and the bedroom left, there's the perfect amount of room for a loveseat sofa and play area for Victor, as well as even more storage through continuing the kitchen cabinetry along the entirety of this wall. And by pairing it with a TV bench underneath more repurposed kitchen countertop, this could be adaptively used to either display items and create a console for their TV, or simply serve as a bench for even more seating, which could utilize the blank wall behind it as a place for a projector to project onto, which would make this room even more capable than it already is. Despite this concept being purely aspirational, together with a separate bedroom office and separate nursery area, this apartment makes the most of a tricky situation on a tight budget, by using this mostly on items that maximize the apartment's utility, making it not only comfortable enough for 2 working adults, but also comfortable enough for a family with a growing baby boy. Do drop a like if you enjoyed this redesign, and make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already, as there is loads more content just like this on the way. And if you're new here, use the links on screen and in the description below to catch up on my other redesigns.